Okay, so this is to test this microphone to see if it's working. Okay, let's hope this is working. I filmed this twice and the audio was not working. So, hello, if this is working. I am back from 4th of July and I hope everyone that celebrated had a great time. I got to spend it with my family, so I'm excited about that. Well, last time, I believe I promised you guys a video on building a makeup kit, and this will be doing a beauty makeup kit. And I want to say, don't panic, and the kits are built over time. So don't go out and buy everything all at once because makeup does expire. All right, you want to build it as you go. So if you're not using one thing, don't buy it right away. You buy it as you need per jobs. And plus, you're not going to be working on a whole lot of people. And I want to say take advantage of travel size things because when you are starting out, you will not be going through, especially in the beauty world, you're not ever going to go through a full blush in one person, all right, even if you had a huge bridal party. So use smaller containers and travel size things. It'll be a lot cheaper that way too. So I want to recommend some things that you're not going to carry with you, but again, the things that I'm recommending are pro makeup world. I'm not going to recommend drugstore stuff just because I'll touch on that as I go. But the things that I'm going to recommend, I'm going to say, think of a couple things that when you're starting your kit, and that is quality products, multifunction products, sanitation, hygiene, and business side, okay? And these are things that you can build on a kit if you have really good products on certain things. And you don't have to spend a whole lot on, everything, but there are things that I think money should kind of go more towards. So, again, this is stuff that I'm going to recommend as a pro makeup artist. And I just want to touch on this because I've been asked this by a couple people. When you're doing makeup, and a lot of people do watch social medias, there's a difference between reality and social medias. And a lot of the time, things that look good on social media don't really look good in person or last long. Okay, and if you're working on a bride or something else, this makeup's going to have to last. So I'm not going to be recommending things that you find a lot on social medias from beauty gurus and stuff like that. And I also will say the reality of makeup artists is they're like, oh, how is it to have this big fancy room? I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, you're not going to have this big fancy hotel room with 3 tables of makeup all laid out for you. These things are social media, okay? This is what a brand does to someone that they sponsor, put all the makeup out, and then sometimes they'll even ask, normally they'll do it just for their brand, but you can negotiate things. And then they take pictures of these things and these beautiful, gorgeous rooms. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen often, and you're often put into a corner in a room to the side with a little table that sometimes you have to share. So keep that in mind also when you're building your kit, okay? So the thing that you can't take with you that I'm going to recommend, because if you're starting out, I'm assuming you've already kind of worked on people, you've done your due diligence and gone, okay, well, what do I need to know as a pro? And you kind of know how to mix things, okay? That goes along with color theory, which you're going to have to know as a pro makeup artist. This is a book I recommend for everyone starting out, okay? This is a really good book. It's called The Makeup Artist Handbook by Gretchen Davis and Mindy Hall. And this covers everything from color theory, lighting and makeup, which again are things that you're going to have to know, basic things. Terms in here. This touches on special effects, hair, You know, they'll have proper terminology, which YouTube really doesn't cover because it's beauty gurus who haven't educated themselves on proper terminology as a pro makeup artist. And again, the biggest example is contouring. They're bronzing on YouTube. There's a totally different, and that's another video, what true contouring is, and it's not using a bronzer. Okay, so, but this goes over everything, and it really is helpful if you're just starting out. And there's a reason why makeup artists do recommend it. Here's a whole thing on color theory. So if you don't know how to do color theory, you're going to have to know this. This is how you mix for people if you don't have something in your kit. And this is such a good learning tool too, is it goes over how to get those colors, how to make a, you know, warm tone foundation cool. So this is just a really helpful book. And like I said, it does cover a lot: commercial, photo shoots, how to read a call list. So it covers a lot, even special effects, which even if you're going into the beauty, you chose to go into as a beauty makeup artist, it's good to have that knowledge. I've seen beauty makeup artists do some really horrible things because they didn't educate themselves on special effects and were asked to do it on a set, and it went really wrong. So this is a really good starting thing, or even just a gift to someone who's really into makeup. So this is a really good one. I'm going to put that over there. Okay. So what I normally put into my kit is a little folder too. I carry this with me, my contracts. If I have a call, let's see. If I have call sheets or parts of scripts that I'm working on, you're going to have to know if you're working on film, certain scripts. Or itinerary will have a layout of the times, who I'm working on, where the location is. Sometimes in locations, even for beauty makeup, you're only allowed to park in certain areas. You need to know all that, and I have it all down in a little thing. That's just a little tip. I went over my last video about guidelines, and that is changing because everyone's now spiking. So my guidelines are different than yours, but what I'm going to recommend is easier to work with than the fabric masks. This was sent to me from another makeup artist, but this is called a face shield, and I do not take these out of their packaging until I actually get to where I'm going to do makeup. Then you take it out and do that. But these don't go in, just if you want these, they go like this, they have foam. So you are able to breathe. Your mouth, your nose and mouth isn't per se covered by fabric, and some people find it hard to breathe or get a little claustrophobic. These are amazing. So you can work with a client and they wrap around like this. These can be wiped down, cleaned, and sanitized so that you can wear these in between each client. So I would Google, this is what I did, because I'm going to need more than one, right? So what I did, instead of having this ship from around the world, which, you know, whatever, I'd rather support my local, economy. And so I Googled face shield in the state I'm from, and it brought up a local person who makes these. And it may not have the face shield on it, but it will get to me in a day, and you're supporting someone local. So that is, for my mandations, I have to cover my face. I have to cover my hands, so I'll be putting gloves in. And that is what I'm going to be using. And I'm not going to go over a whole lot of that, but please educate yourself on your area. I'm not in your state or country, so I can't sit there and say what's best for you. Google it and make yourself aware of your guidelines per your location and what they're doing, because I know as of Monday, those are going to change for the state of Michigan. So as they are going to constantly change throughout this uncertain time, right? So that's the doom and gloom. And with that, let's get into which we start with first. probably a little bit of continuing on the sanitation thing. I guess skin prep, again, the quality products that I'm things that you need for prepping things. You're gonna need to have again, travel sized hand sanitizer for yourself and for clients. Okay, probably gonna need something to put these in, so let me start with that. These you can get. These are just from drugstore. Don't spend a whole lot on these. This is what I'm going to put all the makeup in, and everything will fit in here. But I like to have a bag that will carry everything. And the bags that I recommend, you can Google PVC set bags, and this is it. I will, again, put everything in the box of knowledge down below. I'm not going to go over brands too much, but I'm going to give you my tips on, again, set bag like this. If you were to have a cloth bag, foundation spills on it, something else, you can't really wipe that off. You can on here, and you can sanitize this. So I always have mints for you and the client, okay? No one likes smelling your stank breath or your coffee breath, and you know, even with that shield, it's just bring mints, okay? I always have my cards and mints. Good tip, doggy bags. You're gonna need something to put, if you're using sponges, you know, you're gonna have some garbage. These are small, they're compact, and you can just clip them to the bag. So I recommend a bag like this. I will recommend and leave links for different types of bags and where to get them. And again, throughout the video, I will leave links down below for things and the products that I've used that I, you know, leave links for those and other ones that are in the same thing. So this is what we're going to put everything into, and it's still really small, compact. Again, you don't need a train case. So bag like this, and this does have sections. I don't know if you can see that. There's two little sections here and another big, and then a big section here. Okay, so something like that. Amazon, they're cheap. I mean, I think they run like 12 bucks. You can get them, they can run up to 30 bucks. It depends on what you like. All right, so starting with that, let's start with pre-makeup products. All right, so when I say pre-makeup products, these are disposables. Okay, mascara wands, lip brushes, little hair bobby pins to get people's hair out of the way, Q-tips, things of that nature. You're going to have disposables, and do not double dip. So it's one mascara wand per lash. You will need these. These are essential. I put them in this little container. It makes it small, compact, and I can see where everything is. So that is, you'll need those. I'm going to put that into the bag. All right, so you will need a, okay, again with the guidelines, sanitizing spray, hospital grade, a cleaner. You'll also need a mixing palette with a mixing knife. So this mixing palette, let's see, it's the opposite. I kept in its original packaging, just so it's safe when I travel. It doesn't get stuff on it. It was cheap and free. So this is just a stainless steel one. I like these a lot better. They will last longer. Plastic, if you even scrape it a little bit, chunks will come out of it. I'm not a fan of the plastic ones. These will last you forever. This is the original one that I first started with, and it's still in amazing shape. So this will go on our bag as well. Okay, you will need that because you will be mixing things. and mixing spatula. Now, these are really cheap. You can get these at a craft store if you have a craft store next to you or in your location, like a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby. If you go into the section with all of the models, like all the model kits, you will find like a package of 6, and they're like $1 a piece. And they'll have all different types. I have a couple in here actually. So I have, one that's more tapered, and one that's long and rectangle. And these are great too if you decide that you want to learn special effects stuff. These are amazing and used all the time in special effects as well as sculpting. So these are multi-tools that everyone in the industry uses, whether it be beauty and or special effects. So these are really, really cheap. Get them in a craft store. You can get them on Amazon as well. So there is that. Continuing on, brush cleaner. Okay. And I will say this, brush cleaner, there will be a whole video on it. You can't just spray your brushes. You actually have to, like get them in a container and really, get this stuff in there. Because if you just spray this on top, it's not cleaning the actual brush inside. So, brush cleaner, you will need it. I recommend to put it in a spray for the fact that it's easier to get into a container and you don't spill a whole lot of it. So you need brush cleaner to clean your brushes in between clients, and that is spot cleaning. Okay, so those are all the pre-products, and we're getting into skin prep. Now, as a pro makeup artist, you will be working on different skin types, and you're going to have to know certain applications for long wear, and that comes with prepping the skin. That is the number one thing that you are going to be doing. So you're going to need to clean someone's face off, right? And this is going to happen throughout, whether it's at the end of the day, whether it's before you start on a client. Makeup wipes, all right? I also, you don't have to, but I also carry a little bottle of makeup remover. And I recommend a non-oily one because you can actually go in and it won't disturb the makeup around it. So Bioderma or like a micellar water, that type of a thing. All right, so makeup removers, you're going to need a toner. I use witch hazel. It's really good for all skin types. And that's the thing too. When I'm working on people, I get things for, it has to pass the criteria of, will it work for multiple people? Yeah, good. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have people that are allergic to everything, and that comes in a consultation that you'll ask those questions. But is it good enough for sensitive skin as well? So those are the things I take in consideration. So witch hazel is, good for after you've washed their face, tone it, you're good. All right. I always carry a little bit of water and sanitizer. I carry a sanitizer for makeup as well. It's Beauty So Clean, and then I put it in little bottles like that. Okay, so moving on to, still recording. I'm paranoid now that the audio didn't work and I recorded this twice. So moving on, again, travel size. This is a moisturizer. It works great for oily and dry skin. I like using something that would be good for both. So this again is a travel size. You're going to need a moisturizer. People do have, so. Okay, so this is going to be a long video. I apologize. Get your drink. Let's hydrate together. Okay. So I think it left over on moisturizer. You're going to need either a hydrating and or a mattifying one. I use one for both skin tones. Okay. So after you've prepped the skin, you've cleaned it, you've moisturized, you toned it, moisturized it, you're good. then you want to prime it, especially if it's for a special event. There are primers that are, you know, pore filling and all this. Just get a good general one. It's not in dye. You don't have to have 6 of these. So face primer. You'll also need an eyeshadow primer. That will go in here as well. I didn't grab mine. A little unprepared. Sorry about that. So, but you will need an eyeshadow primer as well. And again, these are things that you don't have to spend a ton of money on, right? So, all right. Moisturizer. Sometimes if I'm working on someone for a special event, I will get a, you know, depuffer pad and do that while I'm working on the skin. I don't always do that, but it's just a little, if you want to do a little extra. Lip balms. Okay. People have some dry lips. And actually, this is the first thing I do after that I clean the face. I put a lip, you know, I've toned it, and then I put a lip on them. I make sure I carry one for really dry lips, because either people's lips will be in good shape or they'll be really dry and flaky. So I always carry a really intense lip balm in with my lipsticks that are already depotted. But you will need a lip balm. Okay, this is since we got the primer, we got all that, this is going to be an odd hand sanitizer. I can go in there for you and for the client. The thing that I want to recommend that you won't hear a lot unless you've talked to some makeup artists that worked a long time, okay? Oops, that fell. And it's going to sound odd. Pick this up. Liquid bandage. Yeah, liquid bandage. And let me tell you why. Especially in beauty makeup, you will have people that get cold sores, that they have a pet and got a cut, right? You can't put makeup on that. That will get infected. So I've had a hand model once that had a cat, and they had scratches all over their hand. And how are you going to cover that up if you can't put makeup over it? So liquid bandage, it's amazing. You put it on, you can put makeup over it, and you won't hurt the person. So that is my one thing in the bag that people are like, I wonder why they have this. And that is why. So those are pretty much the skin prep set of your bag. Moving on to the big basics, right? And again, this isn't going to be a popular one. I'll go over tools at the very, very end. So I want to start with foundations. And don't go to the drugstore and go and get 20 bottles of foundation. This is the one thing I'm convinced that you need to have and spend more on. This in your tools. And the reason is, again, I'm trying to help you build a kit. You're going to have to know how to mix things. But if you get a pro high coverage cream foundation, that is a workhorse product in itself. You can use it as a concealer because they are that high coverage. They normally are 50 to 60% pigments, so that means color, you know, versus the drugstore stuff that is watered down. And with a cream product, especially full coverage, not only can you use that as a concealer and a full coverage foundation, you can turn that into a tinted moisturizer, so very low coverage. And on top of that, you can get any coverage you want, anywhere from high to medium to low. And you can turn that into a, you know, actual liquid foundation. But it is very hard and takes more time to take a liquid foundation and turn that into a high coverage cream foundation. Can it be done with the tools? Yes, it can. Will you have time to do that? No, you won't. Okay, so I'm recommending that you go and get and spend more on these. Again, the other things, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on those. These are a little bit more money, but they are worth it. Okay, you don't have to carry around 10 different concealers. You don't have to carry around 20 different bottles. Now, I'm holding here a lot, but you don't need all these to start out, okay? These are just examples, and these, again, are trial size. You don't need a big palette when you're starting out. And the reality is, until you figure out what your clientele is, there are some areas that are just predominantly white, okay, and that are very, very pale. There are areas that have a mixture of everything, okay, and I've worked in areas where just very dark people. So you just got to figure out what the clientele is going to be like in your area. You're going to have options for everybody, but you know, you don't have to have, you know, 50 million different things. So these are just little trial size foundation, high coverage cream foundations. Now, here's the other thing about makeup artistry. There's no fancy packaging. All right. If you are stuck on fancy packaging, you will be let down in the pro makeup world, because we don't see the point of having a palette this thick, this big, right, that takes up a whole much of space, and it's just unnecessary, and we're going to destroy it anyway. And companies know that, so they don't waste their money in packaging. And in actually most pro companies now actually do packaging in which we do to actually depot and condense our kit. So they're not out all that money. So these are just a bunch of different colored foundations, right? Dark, light, medium, adjusters, okay? And you'll learn what you use the most of, right? When you start working on a lot of people and learning your clientele, you'll, oh, well, I don't ever use that color, but I use that one a lot. So go and buy and refill, right? So you don't need to go and keep getting a big palette, and you just get the colors that you need. So high coverage cream foundation, highly recommend it. It's used for all different things. And honestly, if you're getting one and you can get one like you really just need for a light, a dark, a medium skin tone, and you can take that, and with those you can mix colors in between, okay? So you don't need to get the whole gamut. So those are going into our bag. All right, so that goes over adjusters and all that stuff. Those we already talked about. All right, so translucent powder. Let's talk about it. I know it looks white, right? Translucent, or what is also called no color powder, even though it's white, it goes on majority of skin tones. You don't see it. It won't change the color of the makeup that you did. All right, it just sets whatever you did. So there's that. If you are working on men, my tip here is to get a medium coverage powder foundation. Men don't like a lot of liquid. Majority of them will request, I don't want makeup. But they don't seem to complain if it's powder. So I would get, if you're working on a lot of men and it's not something you need to carry right now, because again, translucent powder is the best way to go when you're starting out. And again, it's get a dark one, a medium one, and a light one, and you can mix those together. So that would be my tip to you guys. All right, what else do we need here? So you don't need a million of these, but it is a good product to have for putting shine if you're doing you know, photo shoots and stuff like that. You don't need a million different lip glosses. Clear. Right here, that's all you need. This is a really cheap drugstore one. All right. Next is eyeliners. And this is where I am at the point of, this is the one product in my kit that I'm really editing, especially with the guidelines that are changing. So if I recommend these now and later say I'm not recommending these anymore, that is why. But as of now, pencil liners. You don't need a million different colors. Black and brown. This is the one I'm hesitant to even put out here. This is a liquid liner. And I'm for sure going to go to a gel for sanitary reasons. This, let me show you. Liquid liner. Okay, some of these have felt tips. This happens to just be a brush. If you're using this, use it on one client and give it to them. That's how I feel about this right now. But a lot of people in the beauty world that are getting their makeup prefers liquid liner. So know that my guidelines that have already come out, basically I'm giving this to the client. It is theirs now. Because there's no way of sanitizing these at all. Okay, and yeah, you could sit there and pull that out and put that on. That's just going to be a mess. It's not worth it. So use as you see. I'm just, it's there. Okay. Mascaras. Don't spend a lot on these. Don't spend $30 on these. Drugstore. There's ones that are really cheap that I'll recommend. They're amazing. Again, black and brown. Not everyone likes a really, really dark lash. I run into some women who really hate it and really like a natural lash but don't want a clear lash. Very rarely will I ever use a clear mascara. But I do use brown as much as I do use black. So waterproof, right? Even liner. Every liner I have is waterproof and long lasting. Because if you're going to do someone's makeup, it should last. So mascara. Good. So this is our little container so far. And a setting spray. Again, travel sized, right? So we don't need to explain why, right? So you have everything in one little thing. It's not a lot. And this is a small cosmetic bag. So that is all you need. As far as the basics, now we'll get into probably what everyone else wants to see. I think I went over towel. I'm going to do it again because I don't remember if I did or not. If I did, I'll cut this out. So when you get to the area that you're at, and I am no longer, I'm going to officially say this, I'm no longer carrying towels. If you're working on one person, fine. But for my guidelines, I would have to bring a towel per person I'm working on. So you'd have to carry something to put these in, so a bag. And after each person, you have to put that in a bag and get a new one out per client. So I'm not going to be doing these anymore. I'm going to be doing a silicone mat that I can sanitize in between clients. But you want a barrier between you and the table, because I've been given some stank tables and they're really, really, really questionable sometimes. So, but you always want to put something down and a barrier for that. All right, let's go over blushes. I have a couple missing because I ran out of some colors, but around 5 or 6 colors that you need. And basically what you want to do is you want 3 cool toned and 3 warm tone, and 4 dark, medium, and light. That's all you need starting out. You don't need all these things. So there's that. I know people are going to get up in arms about this one. Eyeshadows. Actually cut that. I will recommend, there is a blush palette I want to recommend that's really affordable. And it has all the cool and warm tones and for every skin tone. And it's fairly reasonable price. I will leave that down below. Okay, now moving on to eyeshadows. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You will be using a lot in the beauty world of matte and neutral colored things, eyeshadows. So people get underwhelmed when I show them this. And honestly, all you really need is light to dark, a couple of light shimmers, and you're not going to use a whole lot of funky colors. Purple is requested a lot, so I have a light purple and a dark purple, but these are all very, very neutral. You know, you don't need a whole lot to start out with. You're not going to have a huge request for huge, glittery, sparkly, green, purple, you know, maybe for a special event, for like a Mardi Gras, something like that. But that will be done in your consult with the client. And that's how you really pack for what you're going to. You may not carry all these things. Talking with your client, if they say, oh, I only want this, this, and this, then, you know. As far as lipsticks, that's one of the kits one of the things I'm in the middle of depotting right now, because they do need to be replaced because a lot of them have expired. So a really good neutral for, again, all the skin tones. You want both cool tones, so neutral, cool and neutral and warm, some warm ones. Red is requested quite a bit. So a good blue-based red and a orange red are probably the most requested. Again, depending on your client, liquid lipstick and or regular. I carry regular lipstick because you can turn it matte. I know how to actually make lipstick, real cream lipstick, last. So, and plus I don't like the matte lips, and I do find there are a lot of women who don't. So maybe carry a little bit of both, but you're not going to need you know, a purple or green, okay? Again, it's a lot of the neutral colors, a lot of pinks are used, and a lot of reds. So that's also what you'll include in your kit per talking to your client. Sorry I don't have that to show you, but like I said, a lot of them are expired, and I just cleaned out that palette or my kit so that I can get all those out of there and put new ones in. And I'll do a video when I'm doing that. So the next thing and the last thing, I'm gonna have to start a new thing right here. So okay, so the last thing is tools. Along with foundation, I don't believe in skimping on tools. There are some brushes that I had starting out, including Real Techniques. You know, I think the most popular that you see on YouTube is Morphe and all those. I've had some of those brushes because I've been given them, and they don't last. They shed. A lot goes into real decent quality makeup brushes, down to the materials, how they make them, where they're made, who makes them, who manufactures them, glue that's gone into them. And it's not just, oh, here's my coupon code. So I'm not going to recommend any of those. So again, this is a preference thing. I've used, you know, really cheap brushes, and are there some good ones? Sure. But they haven't lasted me. So that's why I recommend getting a mid-grade brush set when you're starting out. You'll learn what brushes, and this is such a preference thing too. What I like as a shape of a brush and or company may not be what you like. You may find that this certain shape of brush just isn't what you prefer. So, and that's fine, but that comes as once you develop your own style and clientele and people that you work on, you'll notice which brushes you keep reaching for. Okay, so I'm not going to show you all of the brushes, right? But you're going to need powder brushes. You're going to need stippling brushes. You're going to need shadow brushes and concealer brushes. You will need scissors for cutting lashes, all those things. You will need a lash curler, okay? You will need, where'd it go? After lash curler, and if you choose to do the colored pencil, or not colored pencils, oh my, where am I? Okay, artistic view, is a sharpener. Again, mine's stainless steel. So, per my guidelines for my location, this is my brush thing. Per client gets one. If you're working on one person, you won't have to worry about this, but my dirty brushes, so let's say I'm working on somebody. I'm officially done. I know I'm going to be done using this. I'm not using it for anything else. It goes in a different bag that's not like this, because I don't want to mistake my dirty brushes for clean brushes. They go in a different bag. If you want to put them in a zip baggie, so you know those need to be cleaned and deep cleaned when you get back home. That's what I do. But I pack my brushes per client, and they all go in their own little bag. So mine will say talent 1 or the actor's name or the character's name, and those brushes will only be used on that person. But per my guidelines, my brushes are not allowed to be unzipped during the whole, as a matter of fact, nothing can sit out opened. So those are per my guidelines when I'm working on somebody. That is why I have something like this and not just a brush roll. They have to be covered, and this is easy to clean where the brushes were at. So that is pretty much it. Decent brushes, again, you'll need a mixture of them. They go in a bag. They go on top. You zip it up. And you are all set. That's it. You can travel with this. It's not huge. It's not even a workout, okay? So you don't need a whole lot. This, again, is just to get you started. Things will change for you according to your area and the clientele you work. You will realize there's certain things that you don't need in here, and you'll pull out. So I hope this helped a little bit. And again, I will leave links to everything down below and recommendations down below. I know this was a long one. I apologize, but there's a lot to go over. And again, I hope it was helpful to somebody that has kind of a little bit been overwhelmed by, even just walking into a makeup store can be very overwhelming. And I've been lucky to have other friends that are makeup artists, so I didn't waste a whole lot of money on just drugstore stuff. I was able to, why do you like this? And that's the best advice you could get, is talking with other makeup artists, right? Network. Why do you like this? And you'll find a lot. If you talk or work with other makeup artists, they'll come over and just check your kit out, and say, why do you have that? Oh, you like that? I didn't know you had that. So these are things that will kind of change your mentality of what you see from social media, because the reality is you don't need a lot to start, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming, and you don't have to have 5 Zuka cases of things. I've worked on 40 people in a day, and I've never had to have a huge 2 or 3 Zukas plus a bag. So, but also I think it comes with, I've condensed my kit as I go, so it's never really heavy. The only time I really do have a whole lot is when I do special effects makeup, because there's just a lot more to have. But even then, it's not, it's manageable like this. It's not, you can get into a lot of things, but it's easier when you have someone that has been in the industry and you can learn tips from. And for me, I the tip for me was the liquid bandage. Number one, there's a couple times where I should have gotten stitches, and my mom was a nurse, so I know what liquid bandage does. So that was a no-brainer for me. I've had to work on brides that have you can't cover texture up, right? But they had a horrible cold sore or whatever, cuts or whatever. And they're panicking because they have that on their face and they're about to get married or go to a special event. So those are things that I think it's little things like that you learn from people that are makeup artists that kind of are innovative like that. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's something I wouldn't have thought to put in a beauty kit. So again, these are things that you can keep in your kit. These bags, you'll use those. Again, cream makeups, you'll build on that. Figure out, oh, I don't like this brand. Try getting one kit that's light skin tone and then the other dark in another brand. See which ones you like the best. Because I've tried a couple companies and there's a few that I didn't like as much, but for the most part, they're all really good products that I've used so far. So again, it's been a long one. I hope it's been a helpful one. And let me know what you think. And if you do have any questions, comment down below. I am planning on doing more of these for other kits. So if you are wanting a special effects kit, that's coming. I'm wrapping this series up for the basics and beauties, and this is for people starting out doing a beauty makeup kit. So hope it's helped. I hope all of you are doing very well wherever you are in the world, and take care. All right, bye.